Hello, welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul. Nice to see you all here, and if you're new, a very, very warm welcome. Don't forget, if you are new, don't forget to press the subscribe button, and when the subscribe button is pressed, you'll see a little bell icon at the side. If you click on that, YouTube will inform you every time I put up a new video. Now, today's recipe is nothing fancy. It's nice looking, but it's nothing fancy, because in the bakery all those years we had to make things that were very simple, quick and easy to produce. We couldn't spend hours and hours and hours doing things, unless it was a celebration cake, of course, which was very, very special. But this is a Christmas table centerpiece for your party. It's a Christmas chocolate Yule log. The decoration's simple, the sponge is simple. Everybody can do it, providing you follow my directions. So, let's do it! We've got some flour, some cocoa powder. This is not drinking chocolate, by the way. It has to be unsweetened cocoa powder. Some caster sugar and some eggs. That's the only thing we need for the sponge, okay? So we'll get cracking, as they say, with the eggs. And if you do happen to drop any shell in here, instead of fishing about with a fork or a spoon or something like that, just take the egg shell that you've just cracked, go down inside there, and the bit of broken shell will stick to it. You pick it up quite easily. Now, the recipe says 4 large eggs. I haven't got large eggs today, I've got medium eggs. So I'm sticking 5 in, okay? But 4 large eggs will do it. So what we're going to do first off is to mix these eggs and the sugar together. Just break the yolks up first. Now that's the sugar, and yes, what we have in here is normally 4 large eggs. I've got 5 medium eggs, and the sugar is 100 grams. So this is the eggs and the 100 grams of sugar, and we're going to whisk that now until it's nice and light and fluffy. You can see, excuse me, you can see how yellow it is at the moment. Well, it needs to be very pale colour. That's perfect. Perfect. Now what we do next is we're going to add the flour. Now there's 60 grams of flour. And that's self-raising flour, by the way, 60 grams, and 40 grams of cocoa powder. 40 grams. Remember, it's not drinking chocolate, it's cocoa powder unsweetened. But we do have to sieve this into there to make sure we don't have any lumps. Just gently sieve it into there. And what we're going to do next is to fold it in. We don't use the mixer anymore now once we've got the eggs to the consistency we want them. So we're going to now I'll just show you this because that's what's sieved out of it, and there are quite a few little lumps there, so that's very important. Move the mixer. And we're going to just fold this in, cut it across, round the side, across, round the side and across. That's called folding. It's not beating, it's not whisking, it's folding. And the more air we can keep in those eggs, the better the sponge will be. We keep doing that now until it's all mixed through. There's no hurry, just take your time, gently does it, because we don't want to lose any of that air that we've put into the eggs. Now this is a very quick sponge to cook. It will cook in about between 8 and 10 minutes. Depends on your oven. I'll time mine and tell you how long it goes. It cooks for 200 degrees centigrade. I don't use a fan, by the way. If you do, you'll have to adjust your oven accordingly. Now there we are, it's all nicely mixed through. We'll just get the baking tin now. So here we are, the baking tin, and the size is underneath there. I can't quite remember the size of it at the moment, I'm sorry. Let me just grab the ruler. So here's the baking tin. Now, my size is 13 inches by 9 inches. I'm talking inches because that's what's on the ruler here, okay? 13 inches by 9 inches. And line it with a piece of parchment or greaseproof, making sure it comes up the sides a little. We don't want it to stick to the tin, okay? Now, if you want to spray this or grease it, you can do. I don't bother with this. I just put it in as it is. All ready to go, like that. There we are. You smooth it along to the corners, make sure it goes right to the end, and that's going to go in the oven now at 200 degrees, and it needs to go straight in, we don't wait, okay? 8 to 10 minutes. So we need a piece of greaseproof paper now, bigger than the size of the sponge we're making. So I've just cut a piece there, and we're going to just dust that all over with a little icing sugar. All over. Then as soon as the sponge comes out of the oven, we're going to turn it over upside down onto here. Just make sure there's a little bit more icing sugar on there. There we are. Now the sponge is almost ready, so I'll be back in a second. So here it is, straight from the oven, leaving the edges there, and it's nice and firm on top, and that's going to go straight over on top there, like that. And what we need to do here is remove the paper very, very gently from the sponge. And I mean gently because we don't want to tear the sponge at all. There we are. Just ease it off gently. That's lovely. Now here we have the sponge, and what we're going to do next is, whilst it's still hot, we're going to use the back of a knife, not the sharp bit, but the back of the knife, and we're going to make just a little score down there. Just a little score. And that's going to help us roll it up. We're going to turn it over, and we're going to roll it now with the paper inside the sponge, nice and tight. Not like a Swiss roll where we roll it and leave the paper outside. We're going to leave this right inside and we're going to rest it on this raw edge here. Can you see there? We're going to rest it there and we're going to leave that until it cools completely. I'm going to put it onto a cooling rack so air all around it, and we're going to leave that now until it cools completely. So the roll's cooled now, so we're going to open it gently, very, very gently. Now if it does crack at all, don't worry about it, because we are going to cover it on the outside. And the first thing I'm going to do, now you can fill this with either whipped cream, which I'm going to do, or you can make some buttercream. You can even make it chocolate with some cocoa powder in if you want. I'm just going to make this whipped cream in there. So the beauty of this cake is it doesn't have a lot of sweetness in it. Most of the sweetness is in the ganache that we cover it with. Now we're going to re-roll it, but we're not going to roll the paper inside this time. We're going to just pull it over like we do when we make a Swiss roll. Just keep pulling the paper and rolling it gently, keeping it nice and tight. Just take your time, there's no rush. That's the one thing about baking, is you must take your time, okay? And we're going to leave it again on that seam that we had it there before, okay? On the bottom seam like that. So now it's rolled up, we can take the paper away. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut about a third of it off like that, nicely. I'm going to put it on my platter where it's going to be decorated. I'll put the cake on first. And then the piece that we've just taken off, we're going to put that to the side like that, and that's going to be the branch of the log. Now I'm just going to wait for the ganache cooling now and thickening, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to decorate it. So here we are now. The ganache has set nice and stiff. Put it into the piping bag. Now you don't need a piping bag. If you haven't got one, don't worry. You can actually spread the ganache over the cake and just with an ordinary fork make the grain of the wood to look like bark. So what we're going to do now is we're going to first of all start and join now where we change direction and use the branch here, and we go along that. Now start in the middle. I can see a little hole there that I've missed, but never mind. I'll put a little dollop there too. Almost finished. And when we come to the ends, all we're going to do is, I'm not going to make anything fancy, I'm just going to go around the end like that, and on this end exactly the same. Well, I'm afraid that's all I have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As I said before, it's nothing fancy. If I am decorating something for a celebration cake, it has to spend a lot more time on it. But this is something quick, simple, anybody can do. I tried to make it so everybody can follow the recipe. Do have a go, let me know how it turns out. And this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye!